When it comes to the island, pearl caves are everywhere, so we proudly present top 10 pearl caves on the island. Coming at number 10, we have this first pearl cave. It can be found at 97.7 latitude and 7.7 longitude. This pearl cave is a super awesome one for just some smaller tribes looking to really kind of keep yourself hidden away from a lot of people. As you can see with this entrance, it's very tiny, you can barely fit a turtle in here, and that's pretty much about it. So yeah, you're not going to have to worry about too many people trying to raid you, and raiding this is definitely going to be a bit of a challenge. The only downside with this location is that it is decently small. You don't have a ton of room to work with, but if you're a smaller tribe like honestly a solo, you'll honestly do really good in here. I would say maybe a 2 to 3 man tribe will work super great in here, and possibly a 4 man, but it's definitely going to get a little bit tight. And considering that you guys have to store water dinos somewhere, it's going to be a pain to just live in here in the first place. So I would highly recommend this location. It's just kind of one for storing a lot of main loot that you really would just want to hide away from like your main central base. Coming at number 9, we have this other one, which can be found at 10.3 latitude and 3.8 longitude. Now this one is literally the same one as number 10, just the cave is built a little bit different. So you'll see what I mean here in a second once we get down here. But as you can see, it's not as far down, which is really nice. However, it is in a colder region, so you're going to have to live with the cold weather inside of the cave. So make sure to pack some fur. But yeah, this entrance is a little bit bigger. It's not as narrow, so you can fit some bigger dinos in here for sure. However, it's still pretty compact. Now coming in here, as you guys can see, it is actually a little bit more open. But as you can see, it's nice and snowy. So you have a tiny bit more room in here because of all the spikes not really being in here. However, you got to deal with the cold. And defending the entrance is going to be a little bit harder because you can walk more dinos in. So players are going to be able to raid this spot a little bit easier than the other ones. However, I highly recommend it as it has less spikes, so you have a lot more room to work with in here. And not to mention, it just makes for a pretty overall great location. Coming at number 8, this location can be found at 53.3 latitude and 99.4 longitude. Now this cave again is similar to the last two. We're just going over these main 3 because they're really, I'm going to be honest, they're not the best to live in unless you are a smaller tribe. So this one is very similar to number 10, however the layout's a little bit different. So coming over here, as you can see, your entrance is a little bit more narrow. However, it doesn't really have a long hallway like with number 8 did. No, number 9. Sorry, what number 9 had. But yeah, once you come in here, it's a little bit tighter and kind of more like a little maze to get in here. But still overall a pretty nice base location. So you come up in here and as you can see, it's a little bit more open, if you want to say so. I mean, there's a tiny bit more room, but there's a lot more like foliage that you kind of just got to take out. So honestly, they're almost identical to the last two. So there's really nothing to say differently about this clip other than it makes for a pretty good location. So anyways, let's move on to the actual better base spots on this list. So let's move on to the next one. And coming at number 7, this can be found at 97.5 latitude and 75.0 longitude. And then here it is on the map. Now this next one is definitely a better one compared to the last 3 that we have gone over. It's kind of a step up, however these are still not the best pearl caves. We'll go over those towards the end. So if you want to skip and just check those out, go towards the end. But anyways, this is your next pearl cave right here. Now this pearl cave is honestly, it's one of my favorites because it's a lot smaller, so if you're kind of looking to build smaller, it's definitely a great one for that. However, there are 3, I believe actually 4 of these on the map. They're just a little bit different for every single one of them. Like the layout actually is slightly different, however, they're all kind of the same thing. So when you come inside here, as you can see, it's just a nice little area. It's a little bit more compact, a little bit awkward to build in. However, this one is the smallest out of the 3 to 4 of them, I believe. So you can kind of see there's a nice little wraparound back here. It just wraps around over to that little overhang. Nothing too much about this cave. I mean, yes, it's nice, still a little bit harder to build in compared to some of the other ones on this list. So I would highly recommend checking every single one of them out before living in here. Coming at number 6, this can be found at 50.1 latitude and 4.5 longitude. Now this one is literally identical to the last one on the list. If you guys can manage to find a difference with this cave, please make sure to let me know, because I'm not able to figure out what's different. other than just the lighting. I mean, the lighting's a little bit different. Like you have more of those like light crystals in there that you really can't mine. But other than that, it looks almost identical. However, this one is actually a little bit of a better one to build in because of the location. It's more kind of away from everything, which is super nice. And this entrance down here is a little bit bigger. But other than that, everything about this cave is the exact same. As you can see, you still have that overhang ledge right there. Along with that, you have your little area for your wall over there as well that you can put a nice little turret wall in. However, I do feel like it's slightly bigger, but let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I don't really know if it's bigger or not. I just think it is based off of the perspective of just how I'm looking at things. But yeah, that's it for this one. Pretty much the same layout. Let's move on to the next one. This video is sponsored by my servers Dino Deluxe. We just released servers for ARK Survival Ascended. We have 3 maps right now, which are a main PvP server, a 6-man PvP server, and then a main PvE server. Our servers offer 5x harvesting rates to keep it as close to official as we can without the long grind. We also offer 10 times taming, so you won't be waiting hours for a dino to tame up. You see, Dino Deluxe also offers 20x breeding, so that giga that you wanted to raise on official won't take you 1 to 2 weeks to raise up. Check out Dino Deluxe today by simply typing Dino Deluxe in your search bar on the unofficial tab. Coming at number 5, this one can be found at 3.9 latitude and 17.8 longitude, and then here it is on the map. Now this is pretty much the same as the last two, however it is the snow version. This is the main popular one that was super popular on ARK ASE, but it was definitely one of the best locations on the island for sure. However, it got nerfed a little bit with the new game, with ASA being out. But yeah, it's the snow version of it, so it's a little bit easier to kind of see things in here. And in my opinion, it honestly looks better aesthetically pleasing. So I would highly recommend building in here compared to the other ones. The only issue is these stupid spikes in the ground. You cannot get rid of them. They are stuck there. So I believe some of them you can get rid of, but not those big ones that you see like in the corners. Now the layout's the exact same, of course, but just it's a snowy one, so make sure to just to have some just some like air conditioners or something to make sure that you don't freeze to death in here. But other than that, it does make for a really good spot, so I would highly recommend building in this one. Coming at number 4, this one can be found at 93.3 latitude and 96.9 longitude. Now this one can actually be found right behind Herbivore Island. It makes for a really good spot because it's so far off the side of the map where not a lot of people are really going to be looking in this one. They're going to look in all the other main ones. However, this one is your kind of bigger pearl cave, if you want to call it that. You have a super tiny entrance right here, which is almost invisible from outside because it like honestly kind of overhangs and goes super low. I don't even think that you can fit a turtle in there. I'm going to be honest, it's that tight. But the only issue with these caves are the entrances. So you can see those water entrances span across the entire thing. So it's definitely a bit of a difficult defense, I'll say that. But once you are in here, you have an insane amount of room. I mean, for a pearl cave, you have all this room in here. It's absolutely massive. The only downside of it, it's not flat. So you're going to have to build it kind of up on an incline, which has always been a pain for me to figure out how to build stuff on here. And not to mention that these spikes being everywhere and you can't get rid of them, building things is going to be difficult with those being there, considering that you can't really clip things like you used to on old ARK. But yeah, there's a lot of room in here for some dinos, a teleporter, some replicators. I mean, it makes for a pretty good base location. And coming at number 3, this can be found at 96.7 latitude and 33.8 longitude. Now this one again is another bigger kind of pearl cave, kind of similar to the old one that we just did. However, the layout is slightly different. It's hard to tell, but it's actually stuff is slightly pushed over to the left more with this one, including that giant pillar that's kind of in the middle. However, this entrance is actually a little bit bigger. So I wouldn't say that you want to build in here. But then again, I mean, it's a little bit easier to kind of place things in here, considering that giant little crystal pillar is actually pushed over slightly. So it's really up to you for which one that you want to live in. But I highly recommend the other one, honestly. I mean, this one just is kind of more of a mess if you do look at it. But I mean, it still makes for a really good base location. Just the layout in the back's a little bit different. Like there's trees and stuff in here. I'm not sure what all that's about. But it's kind of cool. However, I feel like this one's more of just like a cave to explore and not really to live in. However, that entrance is, I don't know. It almost feels like a nerfed down version of the last one, but it is slightly bigger. So it's really up to you if you want to live in here or not, but let's move on to the next one. Coming at number 2, this one can be found at 88.5 latitude and 3.1 longitude. Now this one is actually pretty similar to the last two that we went over, just this one doesn't have any foliage. It's more of like a stone kind of cave, if you want to call it that. Still a nice little pearl cave, but this one I feel like is an easier one to work with. However, the entrance is much longer right here, as you can see, so that might work out better for defense. It's really all really up to you. However, there are two entrances for this one compared to the other ones. There's only one and then a slight little opening, but it's not as big as those other ones. Now the crystal is pushed back significantly in here, so you can easily push a turret wall back pretty far, which is why we actually used this one for our full base design. It's not as inclined as well. I mean, yes, it's still inclined, but you have a lot more room to fit a lot of things in here. And overall, I mean, it makes for a pretty decent base location. And finally, coming at number 1, this can be found at 1.6 latitude and 97.8 longitude. Now, the reason why this one is at number 1 is because it's on the very far right corner of the map, and getting in here is going to definitely be a pain if you can build this thing right. Now, yes, these entrances are a little bit bigger. However, the location of this is honestly pretty perfect. It's very, very far down compared to the other ones being slightly higher, so it actually makes for a bit of a better base location. It does have a second entrance as well over here, which is a little bit of a downside because defending a second entrance is always more of a pain for me. At least that's what I found. But yeah, as you can see, the second entrance has got a decent size on it, which does suck, unfortunately. But coming in here, you still have that pushed back crystal like pillar in the middle, which allows you to still build a massive turret wall in here. Along with that, you have a lot of room in here. It's not really that different compared to the other ones, but still overall makes for a really good base location, and I highly recommend living in here for honestly almost any tribe. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to leave us a like and hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. But anyways, thanks for watching.